Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Now, a lot has been going on for me, and I wanted to give you a look into what it is that has been going on. So first things first, I did a video a while back about some health problems that I was having. I was having some strange premature ventricle contractions that took me to a cardiologist. Now, the cardiologist was concerned about my high blood pressure and my cholesterol and triglycerides. Not wildly uncommon for someone in my demographic. So I was put on 2 blood pressure medicines and 2 statins. The first statins gave me horrible leg pains to the point where I couldn't even walk up and down stairs. I don't know how people do statins, but I guess it works for some people. So I was put on a different statin mix that I tolerated a little bit better. The blood pressure medicine made me retain a bunch of water to the point where I was getting really bloated and like my clothes didn't fit right. And you could see me on camera, like my face was kind of starting to swell. So then I was put on to a diuretic blood pressure combo in addition to the original blood pressure medicine I was on. I also at that time had a high A1C reading of 6.8, which isn't off the charts, but puts you in the range of the start of diabetes. Below 6 is where they like it to be generally. This test kind of gives you a sense of your average blood glucose numbers over a period of time. But to fully diagnose you with diabetes, they like to have a second confirming test. All right, so fast forward several months, and I'm having issue with what I believe to be the diuretic. I'm thirsty all the time. I mean, I literally went through 4 of these just in the morning getting going. I was peeing several times during the night, peeing all day long. And eventually it got so bad, I was drinking 4 gallons of water a day and peeing like 4 to 5 times at night. So I wasn't getting any good sleep. And it was just pretty much nonstop peeing with like tremendous urgency. Like I had to go. I also had lost about 16 pounds in just a few weeks. And my vision had also been getting kind of bad, especially at night. But I just chalked that up to, I hadn't gotten a new prescription in like a year plus. So I'm like, I probably just need a new prescription. I'm getting old and that's how it goes, right? Because, when I was 40, my vision got worse. When I was 50, it got worse again. So I just thought it was part of the process. So anyways, it comes time to take another A1C test before I'm about to have an appointment with my cardiologist. And this time, the test came back at 13.2, which is kind of off the charts. I knew this was something concerning because both my cardiologist and my primary physician called me right away, which never happens these days. My primary care physician wanted to get me on insulin and get me to an endocrinologist right away, but I suggested that this is such a big jump, like I didn't have issues, with getting older, my blood sugars were kind of going up, but it had a sudden, really big increase. So I was like, well, this is such a big jump. Why don't I just retake the A1C test again? Because it was just too big of a jump. So I said, why don't you give me metformin, get me started with a glucose test kit, and I'll retake the test and we'll just see if that was a legitimate test. So like I started taking the metformin, and just for perspective, like a 13.2 A1C is like your blood sugar's an average of like 330, I believe. So anyways, I tested my blood that night because after all that, I got the stuff and tested my blood that late afternoon. And it was in the 300s as a fasting number. So like I hadn't had anything to eat and was still in the 300s. And for reference, you're supposed to be in like 70 to 100 range with your blood sugar. And that's when I realized I might have some issues. So I messaged my doctor saying that we may need to be, a little bit more aggressive with the treatment. But later that night, before anybody was able to get back to me, I took my blood sugar again, and it was after not having much, I had a little hummus and things like that. my blood sugar was at 485. And now people have been telling me that if my glucose gets over 400, I should go straight to the hospital. So I got my wife up out of bed and had her drive me, to the hospital, even though I was feeling okay, oddly. I mean, throughout all this, I never felt like, I had tremendous brain fog. So like I had COVID, I got it real late. I weathered the big storm. And ever since I had COVID, everything kind of went sideways with me. And my blood sugar, if you look at it, like chart of it, it just goes straight up kind of after I had COVID. And that's when a lot of these issues really started. Correlation is not causality, right? So I don't know. But anyways, so I was still feeling okay. I had a lot of brain fog. Like I said, since COVID, I had a lot of brain fog, and it just kind of kept going and going and going. I had a long COVID issues and things like that. So when I got to the hospital, they took one look at my blood work, and they told me I wasn't going home. And I ended up being there for 3 days while they got everything under control. They were worried about diabetic ketoacidosis, which if you're not familiar, can be very dangerous, right? I took lots of blood tests, finger sticks, and I was taking insulin 4 times a day. So now I'm out. My numbers are much better. And I will say that like once I started in on the insulin, my brain fog kind of cleared up. So I think that might have been part of what was making it very difficult for me to recall information, quite honestly. And doing this podcast, that was a really hard thing to do. So that was really hampering my ability to perform. I'm kind of getting everything under control. I've got the continuous glucose monitor now. I've got an assortment of medicines. But the great news about fixing the diabetes is that it seems to have fixed the high blood pressure and the cholesterol issues that I was having. The vision is better, and the peeing is all gone, right? I'm still peeing, but the urgency and the frequency is now in a much more manageable place. Like I could barely drive from one location to the next without having to pull over and find a bathroom. Now, I didn't have to make too many life changes because I have been a pescatarian for 30, 40 years now. And I generally had a very low carb diet, all along. Now, I miss my apples and grapes and bananas, but I'm doing good with other things, and I'm using now Truvia is the one I picked of the sugar substitutes is my favorite. Truvia with brown sugar substitute, and I use that in my tea, and it's a nice change because I had always had just plain tea without any sugar or cream or anything in it, right? So it's kind of a nice change. So the news is that I'm doing better. I'm solved. I had been treating a lot of symptoms for a long time, and now I'm finally treating the underlying issue. And that is a huge difference for me. And so if anybody wants to be my diet buddy, I'm open to it. And the next big update is that I'm going to be leaving Core BTS, where I've been working for a while, at the end of next week. So I want to take a little poll from, people who watch this podcast, and I want to get a sense of what they think. I on Monday's episode, I interviewed Kyle Roof, who's an SEO expert. And we now live in a world where the sales journey for anything starts at Google or YouTube and often ends there as well. So getting your brand out there is incredibly important. The old model of sales is really, falling apart. Ranking well in searches for specific terms is super critical. And one of the best ways to do this is to consistently produce content that answers questions your potential clients may have. So this content has to be valuable, non-salesy, honest, and entertaining, which is something that businesses really struggle to do. So here's the question. Do you think your business would benefit from somebody coming in, understanding the value proposition of your company and your products, and helping you produce this content so you can be more competitive? And I would love to hear about your thoughts about whether this is something you think your business would value. As you know, I'm thinking of pursuing that line of employment, going forward, and I would love to get some feedback on it. And always, I am so thankful to all the people who watch this channel and everyone who has subscribed. This channel's on track to hit 1 million views in the next month or so. So that's really exciting. So if you haven't really already, think about subscribing and give a like if you like what you see. And I will see you in the next video. And again, thanks so much for everything.